What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Sunday edition of the Pandemic Update for Sunday, August 4th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where we do the daily pandemic update on all things COVID and any other virus that could be a health threat to you. Let's face it, there's a lot of different viruses out there. Each of them are a threat to you. COVID, it's a big one. It's still in circulation. The COVID pandemic did not end. In fact, we just did a whole video yesterday proving that the pandemic is still with us. It's the video just before this one. You might want to check that out if you think that COVID is over with. Basically, my job here is to inform you of what's going on with various different COVID levels. Usually on Sundays, we do take a look at wastewater. We'll get to that. It's going to be a shortened version of wastewater today, but we're also going to get through some news stories because, yes, we're in the middle of a summer surge, and we're in the middle of COVID in general, so there's always a lot of news stories. As you can see here, we're going to start off with a study today, which talks about hearing loss. Yeah, all these things that are preventable, but can happen with COVID. And there's a lot of different things that COVID can do. You can even go on to develop long COVID when you have a COVID infection. So if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Subscribe down below. Give this a thumbs up. Share this video with anyone you know. I really thank everyone who's been sharing these videos. It's noticeable. I've been noticing that these videos have been shared. Remember to hit that notification bell and leave your comments down below. Quick note before we continue on, you may hear some thunder in the background. That's why we're delayed and a little late compared to our normal Sunday time. Not much I can do about it. There's a lull in between storms right now, so let's make the best of it. Alright, starting off today, COVID-19 significantly increases risk of hearing loss in young adults, and it sounds like this is in the ages of 20 to 39 years old. So this is something, again, it's just another thing that COVID can do. Of course, we will archive this on the site, and it will make today's thread that I will post on my site of all the news stories that you will see today. You'll see a few news stories, such as this. Cambodia reports another human case of H5N1 bird flu. This is the second case this week. The latest patient, a 16-year-old girl, is seriously ill after touching dead chickens at her home. Yikes. Yeah, if you see dead chickens or if you see dead birds in general, stay away. Do not touch them. It can be dangerous. It could be H5N1 or some other form of bird flu. Please don't take any chances. And yes, I do acknowledge that we forgot to report on the other case that happened this week, but here we are. This is the second case that has been reported this week. All right, taking a look at this. I thought this was very interesting. Olympic athlete Adam Peaty, as you may recall, is dealing with COVID. Well, I was reading an article about that. Underneath that article, at the very bottom, there was a little poll from the Sun. That was the news source that I was looking at. Let me read what I put here. I found this interesting. Check out the poll at the end of the article. So far, 57.3% said yes to the question. Here's what the question was. Did COVID have a long-term effect on your health? 57.3% of people said yes. 29.6% said no, thankfully not. And then 13.1% said maybe, but I'm no athlete. 57.3% of people. That's, that's more than 50%. If that many of people said yes, then just let me ask you this question. If you're one of the people that said yes, and maybe you're new here, maybe you didn't know COVID was still going on, why do you not take this more seriously? If one infection messed up your health and caused you to have long-term effects on your health, imagine what would happen if you get infected yet again. Yes, please take this seriously. Test when necessary. If you're not feeling well, test. And if you're going into crowded settings, remember to mask. It is important to do that. Alrighty, moving on now to this. Scotland. COVID in wastewater sees third highest peak of the pandemic. COVID test positivity is the highest ever recorded in Scotland. Let me explain. We do have all the JN.1 offshoots right now, which is causing wastewater to go up. It's causing the summer surge, but you also have less people testing or more people opting for the at-home test and not a PCR test. Well, all that combined allows for the positivity rate to rise, which is why it's one of the highest positivity rates ever. Less people are getting tested now. Less people are reporting their case. So, yes, the positivity rate, unfortunately, in Scotland right now is one of the highest test positivity rates ever recorded. No, it is the highest ever recorded. Speaking of Scotland, here's the UK this week. UK was 3,625 cases. It was up ever so slightly, up by 8. Taking a look at today's allergy levels, drum roll please, there's a lot of orange in the country. Orange is that moderate medium status. 36% of the country is in the orange at this time. As you can see right over the Great Lakes through the Midwest and Plains, that's pretty much the peak of it right now. Air qualities, you're going to see a mixed bag of things. You're going to continue to notice here that the West Coast is still doing bad, but at the same time, the Southeast is not doing terrible at all. Take a look here. You can see on the West Coast we do have that red, and we do have some maroons and yellows, and then a lot of yellows across the rest of the country, including oranges. The Four Corners region's not doing too bad. Florida, you're not doing too bad. There's a reason for that. That is because you're dealing with Tropical Storm Debbie, soon to be Hurricane Debbie. Yes, let's talk about that for just a moment. And apologies, I thought I had this refreshed on the screen. Here it is. Debbie, it's down to 992 millibars. That's the pressure level. It's up to 65 mile per hour winds. It's not far off from a hurricane already. And this storm system is not moving all that fast. It's 13 miles per hour right now, but that's going to slow down. It's going to track right over Florida, and then it's going to go off the coast again, or right along the coast. Georgia and the Carolinas, yes, they are going to see extremely heavy rainfalls. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I talking about this? What about the pandemic? Now, I have to show you this, too, because this is serious. This is a safety threat to anyone who lives down there. 16 to 20 inches of rain is possible across portions of eastern Georgia and across portions of South Carolina. That will cause historic flooding, and there's some modeling that says, you know what, it could be over 20 inches. After that, we have to watch. Could this continue further north? And we also have to watch if it goes into the Atlantic. That could mean, it could strengthen further. So it could weaken over Florida and then become a hurricane again back over portions of the southeast coast. So it's something that we need to take seriously. Want to learn more about that? I have another place where I do that. It is Climate Data Report. All right, getting back to health, which is why you're here to see these videos. Daily totals for Philadelphia yesterday. Yeah, it was another busy day. 852. We haven't had a week where it stays in the 700s for quite some time. I think it's been almost 2 months now since that has happened, and here we are. We're still in the mid 800s. I hope we don't see today ended up being higher. I don't know. Southeast Pennsylvania is quite busy as of the time before I started recording this update. Yeah, take a look at this. Montgomery County, 17 calls right now. I'm seeing cardiac emergency. I'm seeing subject in pain. A lot of head injuries and people in pain, general weakness, accident. There's just a whole bunch of things going on right now. And Chester County, not much better. Emotional disorder, unconscious person, seizures, injured person, syncope, a lot of injuries, strokes. Earlier I was seeing multiple cardiac arrest calls. It's just been a busy day in southeast Pennsylvania. And there's another county I looked at earlier, Delaware County. Yeah, they were busy too. So just outside of Philadelphia, it's busy for EMS calls today. All right, it's wastewater time. Let's take a look first at what's going on in Pennsylvania while we're at it. And we can see up in the Scranton area, Lackawanna County is seeing a large increase. That's that red. And nowhere else is seeing large increases. Everywhere else is either no change or just increase. York County, Dauphin County, which Dauphin County does include the city of Harrisburg. That's the capital of Pennsylvania. Seeing an increase. Cumberland County, Carlisle's there. That's seeing an increase. And Allegheny County at the northern site, you are seeing an increase at this time. Walgreens, now this is just test positivity rate, but Walgreens in the past week did drop ever so slightly by 0.2%. The current positivity rate for COVID in the United States is 39.4%. This will update again tomorrow, or hopefully will update again tomorrow. The viral activity level in Canada at this time for COVID is in the medium status, and we do note that Flu A, Flu B, and RSV is all low at this time. All right, let's take a look at the CDC wastewater page, and we can see levels in the United States. Yep, they went up yet again this week. The viral activity level in the United States for COVID is high at this time, and you know what? It's almost borderline going very high. So that is not good, my friends. We can see here a lot of colors on the map. If you're new here, I'll explain what they mean. The blue colors, the dark blue, that's very low levels of COVID. White, new sites. Gray, site that did not update. So the dark blue, we like to see more of those sites. There's not many of them right now. It's only 64. 0% to 19% COVID increase detected. That's right. They can test the wastewater at your local wastewater treatment plant for many different viruses. In this case, we're looking at COVID. Wastewater scan. We can see many different viruses. There are other CDC pages as well for flu. Then you get a slightly lighter shade of blue, 20 to 39% COVID detected, 169 sites. Then really light blue, that's 40 to 59% COVID detected. That's moderate levels, 323 sites. Now moderate to high is orange, 60 to 79% COVID detected, 455 sites. Red, 80 to 100% COVID increase detected. There are now 265 sites in that category. Where do we see a lot of orange and red? Well, along the I-95 corridor, we certainly do. Florida. Almost all the wastewater sites now in Florida are coming up as red, which is just totally insane and ridiculous. You can see when I click on them here, well, this one's dropping, and we expect that Florida is probably likely peaking right now, but some of these are rising. It's better if we look at them through wastewater scan. We're just going to randomly go along here. Let's take a look at Louisiana. What's going on there at this time? You can see Jefferson. Yeah, some of these sites here do not update all that frequently. St. Charles, this did update. This one's rising at this time. Let's continue our way along here. Yeah, well, there's still rises ongoing in Louisiana, and that makes sense. Things have still gone up in Louisiana. Here's Vernon. And this one at this time, I hope I said that correctly. Apologies if I say any of these counties, parishes, anything wrong. It does happen from time to time. I'm only human. 18,000 population. This one is starting to drop at this time. How about we take a look at what's going on up in Chicago area at this time? Again, we're just randomly making our way around the United States. You can see Cook County. It was rising. It's trying to level off a little bit. I'm going to be fair and say that hopefully this is trying to level off. All right, this other Cook County site is still rising, and as is this one. So, yeah, these two light blue sites, they may go orange or red relatively soon, should that continue. Let's make our way over to New York City now, because we can. Can't take a look at this on wastewater scans, so we have to look at it on CDC page. We can see here, New York, yeah, New York is still rising on some of it. Wow, look at Staten Island here, Richmond. Yeah, that's going straight up still. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just look at this. The majority of the wastewater sites, this one's slowing off, that's good. So, though we saw New York State data last week show that, hey, things may be peaking in the hospitals, wastewater says it's still going up. But mind you, this data here for wastewater could very well be delayed by as much as a week or two. So, what we're seeing for hospitalizations may actually be in return a little bit further ahead. And now we have to refresh this because it just stopped working on us. But you get the idea here. New York State, even if it's still showing high here, and even if that's lagged, the levels still remain very high at this time. West Coast, take a look at this. Utah, what can I say? You have a lot of high and moderate sites at this time. Yeah, your levels are still just ridiculous. Hopefully you're going to start to peak and drop relatively soon. There's one that's not dropping. Here's another one, 12,500, smaller site. It looks like maybe it's trying to peak. California, there's still a lot of red there as well. Let's see if we can do Maricopa County, Arizona, Phoenix area. Take a look at this. Starting to level off a little bit. Let's go to another wastewater site. Here's a much bigger site. This one's dropping at this time. Double thumbs up for you. That is some really good news. Let's go down to Dallas if we can. Again, sometimes, see, when you see it doing these lines, go straight up and across, that means it's not updating, or at least I'm assuming that's what it means. Maybe there's just not enough data. I honestly do not know. Travis County, Texas. This looks like it's updating more frequently. And this one, 529,000 population, and that is dropping at this time. But there are other ways we can take a look at wastewater. We can actually take the average of all the wastewater sites in Texas, 17 reported, and what do you get? Very high levels. Florida, 18 reported, very high levels. North Carolina, 33 sites reported, very high levels. California, 51 sites reported, very high levels. Still very high in Hawaii and Alaska at this time. We come up to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is now in a high level. New York State, for some reason, is coming up low, despite the rise that had occurred for many weeks up until this past week, where it does look like it's peaking in New York State. Oregon, very high. Washington, very high. Minnesota, very high at this time. You can see there's still quite a few places that are very high. And Ohio is just high at this time. I'm actually kind of surprised it did not go to very high, just given the increase that they've been seeing in cases now for, what has it been? I think 7 or 8 weeks. Yeah, they've been seeing quite the increase. All right, let's take a look at wastewater scan. We'll do the regions, and then we'll do a couple wastewater sites, and then we will call it a day. First, starting off with the national level, and we can see here on the national level, COVID at this time is still rising, but there's a wonky movement downward. I don't know if that's actually correct or not, because as you saw with what's going on the CDC site, you can see things are still rising. RSV, influenza A, influenza B, and HMPV are all not much of an issue at this time. Norovirus is in the medium category right now. In the Midwest region, we do note that COVID, it's trying to level off. Hopefully it will stay that way and even start dropping relatively soon. RSV is low, influenza A is low, influenza B and HMPV is low. Norovirus is even low at this time as well. Taking a look at the Northeast region, we can see here, wonky movement here, upward. Don't buy too much into that. We are starting to see levels drop a little bit in the Northeast. Hopefully that continues for COVID. RSV is low, influenza A, influenza B, and HMPV all low at this time. Norovirus is in the medium category. Wonky movement once again, upward. Not too concerned about that. In the South, COVID levels. There's a little wonky movement, but hey, they're starting to level off. They're starting to peak. Signs that they're going to be dropping relatively soon. RSV is low, influenza A, influenza B, HMPV low. But take a look at this. There actually is a little bit, that might actually be a legitimate rise for norovirus at this time. Although it does look wonky, it may actually be starting to rise. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. And taking a look at what's going on in the West, we can see here wonky movement upward. But overall, I think the West is going to be peaking and maybe starting to drop relatively soon. RSV, influenza A, influenza B, and HMPV are low at this time. Norovirus is in the medium category. Again, one of those wonky movements. Don't pay too much attention to that. Let's go over to Hawaii just for a moment. Remember, Hawaii was the first area to really get hit hard. Let's see what's happening at Sand Island. And we can see it was dropping, but now it's not really dropping that much. Overall trajectory since about June 17th is downward. But again, this has slowed off slightly. And let's go back to the United States. We'll do one more. We'll go back to the lower 48. We'll do one more wastewater site for COVID. And I think what we'll do this time, we'll go over to Louisville, Kentucky. We have not looked here in quite some time. And Louisville, Kentucky, your COVID levels are low. They're actually dropping. RSV is low. Influenza A, for some reason, is rising in your area. That's a red flag. Gotta have to keep an eye on that. Influenza B is low, HMPV is low, and norovirus is low at this time. Alrighty, folks, we will have more looks at wastewater during the pandemic updates throughout the week. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, share these videos with anyone you know. You've been doing a great job of doing that. Continue to do that. We need to keep as many people informed as possible. Hit that notification bell, and remember to leave your comments down below. I will see you all again next time, which will be tomorrow. Until I see you again next time, have a fantastic Sunday afternoon. Stay safe, everyone, and thanks for watching.